Welcome to That Isn't Feminist, the podcast that supports women's rights and women's wrongs. I am your host, Amanda Hernandez, sociologist by training, hater by nature. Our topic today may be a bit controversial, and I want to be clear from the jump. When I talk about bullying men, I do not mean actual bullying. Please do not email my place of employment. When I say bullying men, I am using this as a shorthand for the idea that some people, men, have become more comfortable entering into conflict with people who are expressing ideas or attitudes that are unsavory or sexist. Another way to think about this is one of my favorite phrases, which is comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable. And in the way our society is structured, men often occupy a place of comfort and historically have remained rather unafflicted. I have increasingly found myself in situations where I have needed to remind men that we are indeed in conflict with one another. And rather than staying quiet or disengaged or even fearful of what would happen if I spoke up, I've decided I want to be the kind of person who says something. I want to be a person who cures others of the notion that other people in the room agree with what they are saying. And I think the person I'm talking with today also thinks along the same lines. My first proper pitch, Vanessa sent me a DM on Instagram saying she would love to be on the show to talk about mean girl feminism. And I was like, yes, but also intrigued. So we met up for coffee and I was sold. Vanessa Villareal is a master's student at the University of Texas at Austin, studying marketing with an interest in brand management. She, quote, wakes up extra early on most days to be a hater and is constantly learning and reframing what feminism means to her, end quote. That deeply resonates. And she's looking for full-time job opportunities. Vanessa, thank you for your DM, for agreeing to be on the show, and I'm so happy you're here. Would you like to introduce yourself a bit more?
Yes. Hello, everybody. This is so awesome. I'm like smiling ear to ear right now. This is my first ever. Um, Thank you so much, Amanda, for the kind introduction. Like she said, my name is Vanessa, and I'm really happy to be here today. I graduated with my undergrad degree back in May, and I'm currently pursuing my Master's of Science in Marketing at UT. When I'm not at school or at work, I really enjoy watching bad reality TV shows and laying down as horizontally as possible. I love being with family and trying new food as well.
I love the laying horizontal because I reposted a meme yesterday that was like, I say fuck this job a lot, but my job's actually okay. I just would rather be sleeping.
Yeah, same. I find it hard to believe that I have to wake up every single day to go to work when really I should just be there spreading joy and sharing memes.
I 100% think of myself as the personality hire. So let's start at the top. How do you define feminism? And tell us a little bit about how you came to think of yourself as a feminist.
Yes, great question. I do want to start by saying my definition of feminism is constantly being constructed and reframing. I was first exposed to the idea of feminism in college, and how I think about it is through the lens of machista culture or Marianista culture. So, growing up in a Mexican household, I was exposed more so to these ideas just from our culture, how my family lives, and just like what space I was able to take up as the eldest daughter in my home. Really, the main idea that I wanted to get at here is Mexican culture, and specifically my household, kind of lives off of a hierarchy. So you have God at the top, followed down by the father, the mother, and then siblings, so on. And so that idea of machismo culture kind of trickles down, and it's something that you can't really feel
Mm.
if you're inside of it. And so it wasn't until I was removed to college and kind of went away, was able to form my own ideas, kind of learn more about how society operates in general, to where I was like, oh, wow, like this is weird.
That's a thing. That's one of my favorite things with like teaching stuff to students is oftentimes it's not things that people haven't considered before. People just be like, "Oh, there's a word for that? Oh,
Yeah.
people have been thinking and writing about this?"
Yeah. Yeah, and so it's really cool to like be on the flip side of that, right? And be able to do research and be able to hear stories and share experiences with like other students in my class or like even my roommate. We talked a lot about my freshman year roommate. We talked a lot about like, the different norms or the different roles that people occupy in their family. And so I quickly realized like, oh, you don't clean for the family, you don't do laundry for the family, you don't serve your dad first. Like, okay.
Interesting revelation.
Yeah.
So, how did when you came to college and started encountering this type of material, what was your emotional experience to the word feminist? Did you feel like, "Oh, yeah, I identify with that," or did you feel like there was too much baggage associated with that word or label?
Yeah, I think I fell into that second bucket with a little bit of baggage. And because I went to college in my hometown, it was very, very hard to separate the two, to separate my college identity, but also the like just familiar identity that I have within my family. So it was very difficult to kind of come to the realization that, like, oh, yeah, I am a feminist. Because it went against all of the norms and the identities and the ideas that my family thought of me as. And so it was very difficult to like set that boundary and kind of stand up for myself when I did go home.
Yeah. What were some of the connotations that you had with the word feminist?
I think for me, especially being a woman of color, I was always scared of this idea of being like just a loud, angry person or just like a crazy Latina or like a very like kind of diva. And so
Yeah.
now like it's really, really now I kind of like love being associated with that word. It's like to me, it just gives me like a little bit more purpose and edge and identity of how I interact with the world. And it's definitely showed up like when I am when I am like standing up for myself at work or again like setting those boundaries at home. Yeah.
And I think the topic we're gonna be talking about, it makes sense to me that you're like, "I felt that way about it, but now I actually really like it."
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you had sent me that DM, I wasn't really sure what you meant by mean girl feminism, and as a millennial of a certain age, when I hear mean girl, I think of Mean Girls with, like, Regina George and stuff,
Yeah.
and so I was like, "I'm very interested, let's get coffee," and you shared a paper you wrote with me, and we had this conversation, and I was just super intrigued. So the paper you wrote as your undergraduate capstone was titled Mean Girl Feminism, Latina Narratives, TikTok, and the Fight Against Misogyny. So tell us a little bit about what you write about, what you argue in that paper.
Yeah, so this was a semester-long research project, and to be honest, in the beginning of the class, I was very, very stuck and very, very lost. I was unsure what I wanted to write about, and just a little bit. I'm honestly into meme culture and social media on TikTok, so it was very easy for me to be able to kind of use TikTok and what I engage with and what I see on that platform to fuel what I wanted to talk about in my research paper. So, literally one day before class, I was scrolling on TikTok and a video of Giraffe Wallow came up on my feed. I was intrigued, and after my late night deep dive, I was hooked on analyzing her for the content of my project. This paper is an autoethnography, which is blending my experience and pulling that to anchor the narrative for the research. This was a very, very vulnerable paper for me, but I remember reflecting and looking back at my kind of transformation from freshman year to my senior year, and I was very, very proud of the person who I was becoming, the person that I knew I can continue to grow into. And I do have to give a shout out to my professor, my mentors. Everybody really knew that this is where I was supposed to end up in, and this is where I was kind of like this was the person that I was meant to be and stretch and grow into. And so it was really, really nice to have them for support. Because again, at this time, being able to talk about these concepts, right, like misogyny, machista culture, and even just the idea of mean girl feminism, it wasn't really truly accepted in my family. And I remember I'm very close to my dad, but I remember my dad being like, what is that? Like, why would you even write about that? Like, you're supposed to be analyzing the economy and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that,
You're in college. Where are the numbers?
yeah.
I want you to imagine you're having to describe Drew's content to someone who has never encountered it. How would you describe her brand, her approach, her posture, what she's posting about?
Yeah, so I think to sum it up in one sentence or phrase, she is unapologetically herself. So she has no problem getting online at any moment of the day, whether that's like in full glam, whether she's sitting at home, or whether she has just like a lot of her videos that go viral is her sitting on the toilet. And so it's
I'm sorry, hold on, what? Like, is she hold on, but is she, like, going to toilet, or is she, like, clothed on the toilet?
I think closed.
Okay, so, like, she's got her jeans pulled up and the toilet seat's down and she's just sitting there, or
We never really see that view. It's just nipple or like shoulders up.
so it's a mystery if she's going poo-poo or not.
Yeah.
Okay, carry on.
A lot of what I think made her really blow up or famous in the first place is I think her response to men, specifically misogynistic men, that would comment about her looks, her appearance, her size, her weight, just any like aesthetic features on her person. And so it was really obvious that a bunch of white men just hated her. Like, just absolutely could not even begin to imagine her as a human, as a person, as a woman. And so a lot of what she posts about is her bullying these men and making fun of them and calling them AirPod teeth or
AirPod teeth?
yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, continue, that's very funny.
No, that's okay. But yeah, like she's to me, she's everything that I've kind of been inspiring to be growing up. I was very, very afraid of like being or my mom would always tell me like, pretty girls don't get angry. We're always just supposed to be submissive and serve everybody else. Like, we're not allowed to feel this, this, and this. And so I tried really, really hard because who doesn't want to, please their parents,
Yeah.
specifically their mom. And so I remember that was me for a long, long time. And it wasn't until about, I would say, this point in my like college career and just being able to really figure out who I want to be in this world that I started to be okay and be happy with this idea of like, no, it's okay for me to be angry. Like, there's different things that have happened in my life or that I'm experiencing now that, like, yeah, any normal person would be angry about this. And so, another idea that really like drove me to push this, or drove me to be able to talk about Drew in my paper was. I remember I kept seeing on my TikTok a bunch of videos of Alex Earl and that other white girl that looks like her. I'm sorry. Um, and they all they did was just dance online and they were praised for it and oh my gosh, she's so beautiful and blah blah blah. And again, we're supporting women's rights and wrongs, so I'm not saying that they're not. But it's the same kind of copy paste format of blonde
Yeah.
hair, blue eyes, pink lips, whatever, whatever. And for so long, my identity and what I thought was beautiful was that. And so we should be recording this, but if you know me, I do not look like that at all. And so it was hard, and I remember like a lot of breakdowns of me really just wishing that I could look like that or I could be like that. And so finally, when I saw Drew online, I was like, wow, like this is who I want to follow. Like, this is who represents me. And so when to just get at the main idea of mean girl feminism, in my analysis, I talk a lot about what we believe mean girls to be, which is like that movie with Regina George, right? They're all uh, pretty women, petite women, white women, typically wealthy, and they get labeled as bitchy. But this kind of bitchy is okay for the concept of the movie, but also like I'm sure we have all interacted with mean girls before,
Yeah.
right? And a lot of what it is them being praised for being strong and setting these boundaries and not taking no for an answer. But in my research and in my experience, that only works for white women.
Yeah.
And so Drew is doing the same thing in her videos. Yes, it looks a little bit different and it may be a little bit more hysterical just seeing her where she is at, which is on the toilet.
That is a woman's wrong, to be so clear.
um, so yeah, so in the research and what I was focusing on, I made it a point to know that like, hey, mean girl feminism is starting to look different. We can acknowledge that this looks different. when Druff is participating in this new version of Mean Girl feminism, she's often getting criticized and critiqued for it. And it's coming both from white misogynistic men, but also white women who put her down, who are critiquing her and telling her that she's not enough of a woman or she's not a good enough woman because she is, really, I think because she's putting down men or just calling out men. And so for them, like, that's not what a woman should be like. And so they're often kind of getting onto her about that.
When I was looking at a few of her videos, I think I probably just scrolled like, what has she posted in the last month or so?
Yeah.
And one of the videos was like one of these commenters, um, and I didn't go, you know how like on TikTok when they post the video and they post it with the comment and they're reacting to it? Um, the comment itself, again, I don't know who wrote it, the gender or racial identity of the commenter, but they were like, well, this is why you're never going to get a man because you talk about men this way or you look a certain way. Like, of course, a man's not going to want you. And like the video is her like cackling while she's like, I got a ring, I got the man, like, I love him. We have this wonderful relationship. So the idea being like, not only like is it just mean to be like, "Nobody's ever gonna love you," essentially is what they're saying, but the idea being that in order to be a woman correctly, like, you have to have a man.
Yeah, I think that's bullshit. That is.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, obviously I don't know Drew. There was a time where I was having a parasocial relationship, but it's because really I was just obsessed.
You were writing the paper, I get it.
But yeah, to my knowledge, she's happily engaged. I think she's been with her partner for 7 years now. Like, to me, it's crazy to comment on somebody else's like personal life, especially if we're like that far removed. Like, I don't know you enough to be able to say those things online, but that's kind of ties us back into her personal brand. She is only getting on the internet and kind of saying these witty but funny and maybe a little bit mean remarks to men and women that are commenting on her page, but she does it kind of in a form of she does this in a form of I don't know what the right word is here, but she's only getting on the internet to like talk back about those because they're doing it first.
Well, okay, I think this transitions well to the next thing I want you to talk about. So, when I was reading your paper, I want to start with the way that you highlight the uses of laughter and humor. And I often lean on feminist writer and theorist Sarah Ahmed a lot when I think about the daily practice of being a feminist. In her 2023 book, The Feminist Killjoy Handbook, The Radical Potential of Getting in the Way, she makes the case for laughter as part of a feminist skill set of rolling our eyes at people, of withholding our laughter. Like when someone tells a joke that's sexist or racist, like not laughing at their jokes. That laughter and humor is part of an embodied practice of doing feminist work. And you write a bit about how she does this in her content, but also maybe you can help me reframe because I've always told myself and my child that there are a lot of really stupid people in the world, and there are other things that we can make fun of besides their appearance.
Yeah.
Like, I can make fun of you for being an idiot. I don't gotta talk about your teeth.
Yeah.
But I kinda want to. Like, and speaking as someone who grew up with really horrible teeth, didn't get braces till much later, like, how do we balance those things? I don't know. Does this make sense what I'm asking?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it makes sense, and that's such an interesting question. I always tell like my coworkers, but more so like my boss and the leadership team above me, they're always making fun of my height. I'm really, really short, and so it's tough for me to reach up to the top shelf or like grab the step stool. But that's something I know. Okay, I knew that I was going to stop growing at a very young age. That is very obvious. Okay, guys, I'm 4'11", 5 foot with shoes on. Okay, like that. There's not much I'm working with here.
She's so petite.
But I always tell them like, okay, I always really try to teach them improv and get them to be a little bit more funnier. So we always are doing yes and exercises. But I tell my boss, who is one of my bosses, he's, I don't know, to me everybody looks the same, but he's like 6 foot. And so I always tell him, you need to make fun of something else. Like, this is not funny.
Get some new material.
Get some new material. I'd rather you make fun of make fun of things that I can't control. Like, tell me that I'm dumb or what? Okay, actually, don't tell me that I'm dumb. But make fun of something that I can't control instead of the obvious, because it's such low hanging fruit that it's not funny.
Yeah.
So that, like, yeah.
So what I'm hearing is we're advocating for more personalized insults. Know your enemy better.
Yes, yes. And again, like, with humor, I grew up with a witty family. We've always had like quick, smart comments, and that's really how I live my day-to-day life now. I love being able to laugh at myself. I love being able to laugh at others in a community. And growing up in a Hispanic household, like, you just have to grow thick skin. Like, you just have to be able
You're always just going to be mean to each other. I always feel not self-conscious. Self-conscious is not the right word. I observe
Yeah.
when friends or other people come around my family and they're like, damn, they're really mean to each other. And I'm like, that's love.
Yeah.
Is that a toxic mixed message? Maybe, but like that's just kind of normal to be like extremely mean to each other.
Yeah. Yeah. And you obviously have to know how to balance it out. Like, some jokes can't go too far, I think, in my experience. Or if somebody just is thinking a certain way already, it can be pretty difficult to be able to kind of dish out a joke. But at the end of the day, in our culture specifically, like, it does come out of a form of love. It's hard to see that in the moment, but it is out of a
I love the family group chat. And as we approach the holiday season, the group chat has been I have 4 older brothers, and in that group chat, there's 3 of them, and they're so mean. It's very funny. Okay, so my next question is related, and I think Ahmed really gets at this as also. So, Drew's not just clapping back at men running their mouths, but when white women do it to her, and you touched a little bit about this earlier, and I'm not as familiar with her content as you are, but based off what I read, it seems like the tone of white women's criticisms and engagement with her is really different than men's. Are there different like, are men insulting more her appearance and white women are more insulting, like, her performance of femininity? Like, what's the difference?
Yeah, so in my analysis, I think I compiled like 10 or 12 TikTok videos, and about half of them were coming from white men, and then the other half were coming from white women. And it was very obvious to see the drastic tone that both of these groups were leaving under her comment section. And so,
Can I ask a quick question?
yeah.
For listeners, what is Drew's racial ethnic background?
So she's Samoan.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, she's a Samoan woman. I think she lives out in LA right now. I'm not too sure.
Cool, thank you. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your stream of consciousness. I was just like, "Oh, we didn't touch on that." It feels relevant to what you're setting up for us.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So, to touch really quickly, because this is just how it's organized in my brain. Drew does a really, really great job of being able to laugh back at the patriarchy and also with that male entitlement. And so the comments that she was receiving from, I think, yeah, like the 12 TikTok videos that I analyzed from white men were almost all attacking her appearance, calling her a beluga whale.
Oh my God.
I know. And she's beautiful. Yeah.
When I think of beluga whales, I think of their heads. Her head is very normally shaped.
Yeah. And it's pretty like insulting and mean stuff. Like, a lot of it was just attacking her body, her teeth, saying that like she's never, like we were talking about earlier, that she's never gonna find a man. But yeah, so I saw a lot of that from white men. And so on the flip side of that, when we look at, or when I was looking at white women commenting on her videos, it was a lot of playing into that patriarchy and kind of upholding this stereotype of like all women should be able to serve a man or should be able to confront a man, you know. And just a quick side note on that, I think that's BS too. You are an able-bodied man and you can't make yourself a sandwich. Like, it irks me.
Never ask Vanessa to make you a sandwich.
Yeah.
But could I ask you to make me a sandwich?
Yeah.
I feel like you would, and you'd make me a delicious sandwich and be so nice about it, and then I'd be like, "Can I now make you a sandwich?" And we would just be making sandwiches for each other forever.
Yeah, yeah. I think I would actually ask for a torta,
Okay,
but
okay.
yeah.
What kind?
I really like torta al pastor
Okay.
with everything loaded up, just
Everything.
like avocado. Yeah.
I'm
Okay,
hungry.
enough sandwiches. Sorry. um,
Sorry. I was like, "Sandwiches? It's lunchtime."
um,
Okay, so white women were saying
yeah,
that
so
okay.
a lot of white women actually attacked her intellectual property. So a lot of comments were like, "Oh, you had the help of a ghostwriter. Like, you can't make this joke on your own. I can't believe you're saying this stuff. Like, aren't you scared that nobody's gonna want you or want to date you? Blah blah blah."
They hate to see a funny woman.
Yes,
They
yes.
hate to see it.
Yeah. It was interesting to see that no matter no matter who the viewer is, she can never win. And I think it all kind of ties back into, like we were saying earlier, like they don't want to see a woman of color, specifically a brown woman, own this space or take up space or be seen in the light of this space. But on the flip side of that, with white women being mean girls, oh yeah, it's fine, it's perfect. That's how she's always been.
She's a girl
She's a
boss.
girl boss.
Okay, so white men and white women are reacting to her or interacting with her in these very different ways. Does she respond differently? So with men, she's doing this like bullying, calling them out, teasing them like on their appearance and stuff. How does she respond to white women when they engage with her in that way?
Yeah, I think the awesome thing about Drew is she responds the same in both
Okay.
groups. I think it's a little bit more heated on the men's side. Like some of the clapback she said is, um, this guy has a parabola hairline, so
I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, yeah.
really, really great stuff here. I mean, some of these are in my book too. Like, I cannot wait for somebody to come up to me, so I can pull one of these out. Like, these are great. But I think, um, yeah, I think her response is the same, like no matter what group is interacting with her, and rightfully so. Like I think it's very, very difficult and very strange that as women we're expected to respond a certain type of way, like depending on who's talking to us. But I think that's me tying back into like the professional business world that I'm also a part
Mm,
of, and so it's difficult to be in that space, but also be in that space and it's interesting to for me it looks a little bit weird being in that space and being in that professional world, but also staying true to myself, and
yeah.
that's one of the reasons that I'm really grateful that I reached out to you, because I love talking about this stuff. I love learning, I love hearing new ideas or being exposed to new experiences, and I also love oversharing.
I think we have that in common.
Yeah, I think life is too short not to overshare. Like, I want to know.
That's so wise. Put it on a t-shirt. Life's too short to not overshare. I deeply resonate with all the memes that are like, "Oh no, I overshared." Like, time to disassociate. Oops, my bad." This is maybe going off on a little bit of a tangent, but it made me think of it when you were talking about how she does this same sort of bullying approach, to the men and women. And one trend that I remember, this is maybe a few months ago now, that was specifically targeted to bullying white women on TikTok was the Republican makeup trend. Do you remember this?
I don't. I do have to caveat by saying I'm very emotionally aware, and I think I would say I have a high emotional intelligence. So sometimes looking at a lot of political stuff really just freaks me out because we
I
can't win
hear
them all.
you. Yeah.
We can't win them all, and I'm already so scared about everything. So I don't. But I would love to hear more.
I totally understand. I also did TikTok research last year, right before the election cycle. And I remember telling the person who was my research assistant that semester, I was like, look, we're both going to take a break for our mental health because the algorithm is acting up right now.
Yeah.
We do not need to consume this content. But the Republican woman makeup trend was presumably progressive or Democrat women making TikToks where they were making fun of Republican women. And I don't exactly remember where it originated, but they would, set up the video and they'd put on almost always like a faux Southern accent. So they would be like, I heard y'all were saying that there's no hot Republican women. Well, I'm here to show you. And then they'd do their makeup as a Republican woman, and they would do a version of what's now being referred to as like Mar-a-Lago face or something, where it was just like, the foundation's too dark. It is unblended. We got some like dark black charcoal eyeliner on the top and the bottom, both waterline, like very unflattering was the idea. And so it just made me think of the ways that like, is bullying effective? Maybe. And I think it's funny sometimes because, as you alluded to earlier, one can control how they apply their makeup. And there seems to be um, a trend among a certain sort of racial, ethnic, political identity that applies their cosmetics in a certain way. And I think that they were just highlighting it in a very satirical, funny way. That's all for legal purposes.
Yes, yes. This whole recording for legal purposes.
Oh my God.
Where
These views do not reflect the views of my employer. Okay, so we're at our titular question. I think that's how you say that word. But is it feminist? What is explicitly feminist for you about bullying men? Or, again, for legal purposes, attempting to remind men that when they are racist or sexist, that we are indeed in conflict, and I will come to you with the same energy you come to me with.
Yeah, I think, again, for me personally, I think it's a testament of how much I've grown just throughout my whole life, but really in my college experience. I think about this time when I studied abroad in London, I was so scared to just take space up on the tube. Like, I remember just hunching my shoulders down, trying to be like as small as possible. And at that time, we were writing with my professor, and she said, "What are you doing? Like, open up your shoulder. Like, that's your chair. Sit on your chair. Like, you're good." And I was like,
That
never
is,
thought about that before.
I hear you. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's to me, feminism is really just a testament of how much mentors and these ideas and just hearing experiences and then being vulnerable enough to share your experiences and being able to laugh about it as well, really just kind of that growth and just being able to I to my brain rot folks out there, I almost feel like I'm slime being pulled apart and kind of just reshaped and remolded. I think the work of a feminist is never done. And so, again, just being able to be vulnerable enough to share experiences, to have difficult conversations with others. I remember when I met my boyfriend, I think I was a sophomore in college, and I get this question a lot too, the same that Drew gets is like, oh, how are you saying that you hate men and that how are you bullying men and saying that you hate men, but you have a boyfriend at home? And my response is, he is man enough to be able to have this conversation with me, to be able to listen, be able to hear my stories and share my research with him without being very egotistical and without attacking me for looking at this or feeling like this or having these experiences. And I think being able to one, find a partner, but also find a friend, find a girlfriend, anything and anybody that is able to just listen to you, to really hear you, and to not be defensive about it.
Yeah. And I think what ends up happening for, at least I feel like so many people, it sounds like that was your experience. It's definitely my experience of like the things we write about, the things we think about are so intimately intertwined with our experiences. And like we came to the questions that we have, like, is this thing feminist? Can I find liberation in some way? Can I think about this in a different way because of who we are and where we come from and what we've experienced? And I think it's so cool to like all the growth that you've talking about. I'm like, oh yeah, I felt that way too. And it just makes me feel such tenderness for myself, for you, for my students. We're all growing. Yeah, we're all growing. And that just makes me happy. And so I feel like it's not only a question of is bullying men feminist, but how does stepping into our power and like taking up space and sitting in a chair
Yeah.
and not feeling like we have to cross every limb on our body,
Yeah.
or like I can confront the world as a whole person.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what this is.
Yeah, yeah, I'm not afraid to hide anymore. I'm really not afraid to be angry at, the world, at the situation that I'm experiencing, whatever it may be. And it's very powerful and also very liberating to, like Drew is doing, live in a world unapologetically myself. And so that's something that I try to teach, especially my younger sister, because high school is not so fun right now. Not so fun. I had a lot of fun.
Did you really?
Yeah.
How did you manage that?
I had a great group of girlfriends, and then I was involved in sports and different things, and so it was very easy for me to, kind of entertain myself with different things.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
She's so lucky.
And another really quick thing I wanted to touch about on my paper, I talk a lot about the marginalization of Latina bodies. Most of the comments that Drew was getting was an attack on her body, and even though Latino culture isn't necessarily the equivalent to Samoan culture, when I was analyzing Drew's book, it was very nice to be able to relate kind of my experiences with my own body, how I grew up, my size and weight, with Drew's experience, the Samoan culture. And so a lot of what this article, or a lot of what my paper touches on as well, is just that growth of being able to be accepting, be loving of my own person, my body, and how I show up in the world. And so again, I really can't thank Drew enough for like putting me on this journey and really solidifying like who I am now and who I want to continue to be, but also who I want to like, not who I want to mentor, but who I want to be able to talk about this and share.
Yeah, be in community with.
Yeah,
Yeah.
community with. Yeah.
You heard it here, everybody. You don't need to go eat, pray, love. You don't need to go do Pilates. You just need to take a feminist studies class and write a paper.
Go to that hot work sauna. First of all, I need an ice box. Okay, why would I want to? Sorry, this is.
No, I'm having a great time. Yeah, no, keep going.
You don't need to go to Reform. You don't need to buy that Pilates board from TikTok shop. Just come to class.
Just go to class.
Just go to class. You can do it. You can do it. I know you don't want to right now, but it's for the better.
Wow, such wise words that we're going to end on right now. Vanessa, thank you so much. This was a lot of fun. And I think it's important to note that we laughed a lot along the way.